So you're telling me that you like it more than Zayn's "Nobody Is Listening"?
Yeah, I am not a Zayn guy.
No,
Cue the
really?
thumbs downs.
Well, I think the last time we talked about him was what, with Icarus Falls. Did we even review that? I
We
think.
didn't. It came out like December, bad time for us to get new music. But
Yeah.
that I think that's one of the most interesting things about this new Zayn album to me is the meta nature of it. Nobody is listening is the title, and that's a direct reference to Icarus Falls, which was a famous
Huge flop.
commercial flop.
Yeah.
Probably one of the most notable commercial flops from a mainstream artist in some time. Again, Zayn is the first person to break off from One Direction before they went on hiatus as a group, and following up a very successful first solo album, Icarus Falls really fell flat. Icarus fell. He got too close to the sun. Again, very meta name, and obviously that's not what Zayn intended. But now you have again something that's like really the antithesis of Icarus Falls. Nobody is listening. There was no promo for this at all. It was announced a week in advance. Um, the early singles haven't made a whole lot of noise. And Zayn, if you look at how Zayn operates, he is not active on social media all that much. We people just know he's with Gigi Hadid and they just had a child. And like I didn't actually realize this until I was doing some research, but Zayn has never gone on a solo tour.
Hmm.
Kind of
Interesting.
wild to think about because again, he had a lot of early success when he went solo,
Yeah.
and it just seems like he's very disinterested in a lot of the what it takes to be a mainstream pop star, and especially after what happened at Icarus Falls. So I found all that meta stuff kind of interesting because you can tell Zayn's approach was different. But music wise, I don't know if there's too much different. So if you're a fan of Zayn, you probably still like Nobody Is Listening. But I don't know if this is going to grab people that weren't super into what he was already doing.
Yeah. I'm just on his Spotify here, and Pillow Talk is 6 million spins short, but he pretty much has three songs that have 900 million
Yeah,
spins or more, and he has one song with Taylor Swift, "I Don't Want to Live Forever," probably the Zayn song I like the most,
same.
that has over 1 billion spins, which is just
Yep.
the guy does numbers. But then it also has his most recent singles here, or the biggest ones off of
Right.
this album, and they have like 60 million, 14 million. Nothing to really scoff at. A lot of artists would die to have that sort of
Sure.
play. But that, comparatively, it's just something about this album is not sticking with people or hitting with people as much, it seems.
Yeah, well, now I was thinking about Icarus Falls. You look at that, one of those songs you mentioned is from that, Dust Till Dawn with Sia,
Mm.
945 million streams. And yet, again, Icarus Falls like completely flops on the charts and doesn't sell anything that's including streaming. So it almost like seems apparently that song had a extended life and a long tail after the initial flop. Either way, uh, here we are with Zayn just kind of throwing something out. And again, because he has never solo toured and there was no announced plans to tour in 2020 either. So is he just doing this to fulfill his label contract? Does he care at all? Because the nature of his music, which is really just what stripped down lo-fi R&B, he's by far the most R&B of any of the 1D
Mm.
dudes. That's obvious, but maybe it's just the nature of his delivery to me. But I don't know how invested he is in being music. It seems because again, like he hates the whole pop apparatus. That's pretty obvious.
Yeah. Yeah. Listening to this, I pretty much felt like this is the type of album I might throw on when I'm at work doing paperwork and I just kind of need something fun and inoffensive and just poppy, but not super engaging in the background. And that's kind of how I felt uh, Zayn's vocal performance kind of was throughout this. It felt a little bit like listless in a way, not necessarily bad, but just like the energy
Right.
and the enthusiasm just felt a little low throughout this. And I would say that there's a couple of songs that stood out. I think "Vibes" is a song
Yeah.
that I thought was pretty good. I actually kind of liked "When Love's Around" with Sid. I think just having like him
Mhm.
interplaying off somebody really helps. But I gotta be honest, I like the second half of this record around like "Unfuckwittable," "Windowsill." I pretty much started skipping halfway through the songs. I just couldn't do it. I just was
Yeah.
not finding these that pleasurable to listen to. Where were you at? Was there anything you liked in this?
Yeah, I think Vibes is probably the best all around song.
Hmm.
Sweat was kind of funny to me because that's where you get your '80s
Hmm.
influence, as we talk about with every major pop release these
I was gonna
days. In
say you
this
have to have
instance,
it.
it was the "In the Air Tonight"
Hmm.
drums, very reminiscent. That I appreciated that. Um, I also like seeing Devlin
Hmm.
feature on Windowsill, just because Devlin, not a mainstream rapper, but of course rapper from the UK, most famous for the cover of "All on the Watchtower" that we love from the Young Pope.
Yep.
So seeing Devlin pop up on a RCA Records album, I'm like, oh, that's unexpected. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'm not even like a pillow talk guy, so like I don't really have a big like frame of reference for what good Zayn is. But like, I think Vibes is probably the most listened to. If anything, that kind of gave me like Chris Brown vibes,
Mhm.
honestly. But
Yeah,
normally
for sure.
his energy combined with the production, like it's by design very minimalist and lo-fi and like smooth, and like his falsetto fits in these really like soft ballads. But that's just not my cup of tea usually. So I'm definitely curious just to see how this album performs, and what happens next for Zayn as a pop star, because he's been the most prolific of the 1D guys solo by nature of being the first to go solo. But I mean, it's kind of over in terms of mainstream battles because Harry has ran away
Oh,
with that. Not that they want to be compared, but early on, when it was like Sign of the Times Harry and Pillow Talk Zayn, it was more of a conversation. It's not a conversation anymore.
yeah. Harry Styles has now dropped a top 500 album of all time, Dave. So I mean, there's really no
Oh god.
competition until Zayn gets on that list. Um, yeah, I mean, I think if you like Zayn, you'll probably find more in this to like than we do. It's just if you're not a fan, I don't think you're gonna find too much that's gonna wow you on this record. So I'd say it's one you could skip.